Welcome back to another match here at the Overwatch League. Doa and Monty here to bring you San Francisco Shock versus Washington Justice. And this is a really, really important one for San Francisco. Let's take a look at the standings, though, first, before we kind of really get into it. Checking out the Stage 1 standings, obviously Washington kind of languishing down towards the bottom a bit. They are third right now, 0-3 in their matches.
Third from the bottom.
What?
Third from the bottom.
Yeah, right.
So this is interesting. Like the NYXL still going to be on top right now, and of course the Vancouver Titans will be trailing them both undefeated. But Justice, really important that they start getting some wins, and Shock also just barely on that cutoff of the stage playoffs.
Well, and as we look at that too, here's their schedule, of course. Like, they kind of need to have this win against Justice. Like, a lot of people on paper would say that's an easy one. But when you think about it, going towards in the stage, they're going to need this one, and then they're also going to probably need a win over either New York or Paris to make the playoffs.
I guess if you're a Shock fan, though, you're encouraged by the fact that Paris looked a lot weaker today.
Sure enough.
And I think you might be encouraged by the fact that the Excelsior have had a very weak schedule. Yes, you know, their most impressive win, arguably against the Toronto Defiant, but overall the Excel haven't had the strongest opponents that they've been going against. So those might both be winnable matches, but you need to get to that 4-win position to even, I think, feasibly get into the stage playoffs. There are obviously certain scenarios where that's not true, but that's a much safer number and it's a much safer place to be. So that's where they want to go, and that means picking up a win here and then either against Paris, NYXL, or both.
That's right. So a team that needs a big win today. Let's give it up for our NorCal representatives. It's going to be the San Francisco Shock. Shock taking the field, and like we already talked about, the big theme for the day is going to be able to get that go-ahead win to give themselves a chance to possibly make that stage playoffs.
Yeah, we are going to see Rascal starting here, which he has on some of these controlled maps in the past, but the big surprise of their last match against the Hangzhou Spark was that Rascal came in and played Brigitte on the last 3 maps of the series. And statistically, he was very similar, actually, to Architect. But I feel this takes away from the team because one of San Francisco's core strategies is flexing Architect between Brigitte and the Ana. And I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that as effectively with Rascal, and we haven't seen any of Rascal's signature picks like the Pharah come out yet.
True enough, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Their opponents, of course. Let's hear it for the team that needs a win, perhaps even more. It's a Washington Justice. Washington Justice, a team, of course, that on paper has some pretty big names. You've got Giannis on there. You've got Guido, of course, who is a former tournament finals MVP in Korean Overwatch. So you know these guys have the skill on their roster, but they just haven't found a way to quite unlock it yet.
Yeah, that's true of the Justice. And I guess one statistic that you can look at, as you can say that when they get the first elimination in a team fight, they're actually right in the middle of the league when it comes to winning in terms of team fight percentage.
Sure.
The issue is that they only get that first pickoff, you know, a very small percent of the time at 33.1%, which is about 8.6% lower than the next team, which is the Los Angeles Gladiators. So, you know, when they can get that first elimination, things go about as well for them as any other team. And I think that's what they need to focus on, is really just making sure they're dialing in and getting those first pickoffs in these fights.
We'll see if they can do it. Obviously, this is a team with a lot of struggles so far in Stage 1. They are 0-3, one of our 2 undefeated, or 2 ultimately completely defeated teams. Two defeated teams, along with Valiant.
Which the Valiant is obviously a pretty
That's
big
the big
surprise.
shock. Yeah, I mean, I would not have expected that going into it. But Shock, you know, need to take these guys seriously. At the same time, I think a lot of people are expecting this to be pretty one-sided. So I've been proven wrong a couple times today already. I'm kind of hoping I will be again because it makes for good Overwatch, but we'll see. We'll see. Our Toyota map list coming at you. Let's see where these guys are going to play the game today. It's going to be on Nepal starting things off for Control, then Nimbani, Temple of Anubis, and finally Route 66 for our escort map at the end.
Yeah, Rawhide.
Rawhide.
Well, we are going to have to see this Nepal map first. This is a map that we could feasibly see Architects Rascal swapping onto the Pharah.
Right.
They do end up on Shrine. So
that's one of the reasons to run him, is because you get the Brigitte, but then you have Rascal's really good Pharah too.
Sombra play also, known as probably the original Sombra player. You go back to Apex in Korea.
Man, he was the one who really kind of showed the potential of that hero right after she was released. Here we go, on board with Violet. A player for Shock finally getting to come in his first match last time. Now his second one. We'll see if he can keep up with the great stats he put up the first time around. As Shock kind of forced up. Ooh, they take Janice with him. Whip shot from Rascal off the edge of the map as now they push Washington back towards their spawn, and that's going to be an easy point they take, you'd imagine, for the Shock.
Got some other Justice facts for you, Doa.
Yes.
So they actually have the lowest win rate in the league when suffering the first elimination. They only win 5.2% of team fights if one of their players gets eliminated first, which is extremely low.
That's rough. Justice coming back in again. On the outside looking in of this point. Janice low health again. They do get super early on. Janice has to flee. Getting that healing. There's the Graviton coming in for Shock now. See if they can equalize. They did manage to finish off Corey. And now Guido going in with the Transcendence. That seems a bit optimistic in that they've already lost that Zarya. They're not going to have the damage to win this fight. And I think that's definitely going to be a Zenyatta ultimate that Washington Justice wished they still had.
Yeah, I mean, you could get in there and actually kill the tank, but if you're walking straight into the Graviton Surge from Sinatra with such a high level of Zarya charge, and the way the San Francisco Shock play is Super is often sacrificed just to allow Sinatra to play forward. And it's interesting they're even playing Super, who Smurf is the one who usually plays for them on the control maps.
That's a good point. Kind of surprising to see Super in there. Washington has some ultimates. They use a rally to try to push forward here. Shock on the retreat, but they're still gaining that control percentage. Now the grab comes in from Washington. Where's the follow-up? Self-destruct's come in. Whoa! Primal Rage all over the place. Janice getting a couple big kills. Super responding, though. And Shock trying to turn this one around. In the end, though, it seems like Justice will have just a few more people on the point. They're going to flip it, but they've given up nearly 80% to get this far.
That was a great Primal Rage coming in from the Washington Justice and Giannis, so able to set up the kills necessary after capturing the members of the Shock in the Graviton Surge. However, the battle back, and they can't lose any more engagements if they want to win this point.
Giannis, of course, coming over from the NYXL during the offseason. As the main tank for Justice now. Super on the point. He's going to dive in as the rest of the team comes in for the pincer. They've got that sound barrier to prop them up. Washington Justice, though, pop a couple support ultimates as well. They've still got Phosix as sound barrier. Whoa, and there goes Otto falling to his doom. Sinatra down. Now the sound barrier comes in from Justice. But without Corey, can they really finish this one off? San Francisco doesn't think so. If they charge onto the point, and it's going to be another quick retake for the Shock. Janus popping that Primal Rage, just trying to delay as long as he possibly can. Ooh, he does get the knockoff onto Rascal, takes him with him, but it is going to be the retake for Shock.
Another question is, can they even get back to the point? Super might use that Primal Rage pretty proactively here to keep them off while they wait for Giannis to respawn.
Seems logical, yeah. You want to just try to lock them up at the door for as long as you can.
All right, Brigitte Taxi back from the spawn for Rascal, helped out there by Moth.
Here we go. Trying to hold the door, or the Shock rather. Super pops that Primal Rage now. Justice has the armor. Super looking for targets. Bouncing around Brigitte. There goes Otto eventually. Justice down one player. Really tough to come back from that, especially Choya Bin. Low health, they're trying to finish him. They just can't seem to pop him out of that Diva mech though. Ooh, Violet does go down though. So an opportunity for Justice on equal footing, perhaps numbers-wise, to come back, but the sound barrier may change that. Despite the self-destruct coming in, it's going to get Sinatra. And Justice trying to turn this one around again. Janice low health, though, has to pop that Primal Rage to stay alive. Guido finishes off Super. They do flip it at the last moment. And that's going to be the rest of Shock taking a dive. And Justice have bought themselves another opportunity.
Yeah, pretty clever positioning, though, from Corey. So he actually threw in the Graviton Surge after Sansam had already used the self-destruct.
Yeah.
So they had to come onto the point in order to contest it. He was on the opposite side of the point on that pit, firing the Graviton Surge over. Ended up being a pretty good combo for them in the end.
Couple support ultimates now for Justice as they get ready to weather the storm from Shock coming in. Violet popping his Transcendence first here. Oh, that was so close! Nearly got knocked off. I can't believe he stayed on. They do kind of scare Shock away a little bit. Justice getting aggressive now, dropping that Graviton Surge. No kills out of it, though. Now Shock, their ultimate's starting to come online here. It's going to be the final support ultimate. Sound barrier for Justice, though. Trying to stay alive. He finally knocks Guido off the edge. And Super coming back to the point now. 1v1 versus Corey, getting roasted. He does have the shield, though, and now the Graviton Surge from Shock helping out just a little bit. They're back on the point. Self-destruct, nothing. It does get rid of Sinatra's shield, though, but Shock with a pretty powerful looking unit there. Now, ooh, Violet gets in there with the Transcendence. They do layer the support ultimates, but they need it against that Graviton Surge. They get the point flip, keeping Washington just out of range. Justice coming back in again, but they don't have a lot of people to do it with. And there goes Giannis. Otto in a lot of trouble here, and it's only a matter of time before Shock take point A here on Nepal.
And you know, control has been an issue for the San Francisco Shock, and a lot of that, I think, has been the changing out of the main tank. Super coming in for the Shock, I think, is a great sign for San Francisco. They look so much better when he's playing. I think it's just the teamwork and the coordination, and it's especially important that Sinatra is on the same page as his main tank because of how aggressively he positions himself and how much protection he needs in order to deal the phenomenal amount of damage that he does as part of this roster.
Yeah, gotta give a little bit of credit to Violet too, swooping in at the end with that Transcendence, saving the day a couple times. Obviously Shock pretty happy that they finally got him able to play on the roster. Moving on to Shrine for our second round here on Nepal. It's going to be Justice trying to tie things up. Looks like it's going to be the Reinhardt 3-3 now for both teams. Moth looking to get behind the tanks, trying to get that boop onto Giannis, decides to just push it back. In general right now, they're going to try to play the defender here as Justice loops around the side. Let's see. All right, yeah, Moth just keeping people out for the moment.
He's playing defense off the choke point right now, so he's actually forced the Justice to repeatedly walk through the choke, and that's chipped their HP.
What a charge! Corey finishes off Sinatra after he got caught by the Reinhardt. Giannis setting up a big one for Justice, and now Shock sent running. And it's actually going to be Justice with a chance to flip this one back really fast here.
Yeah, very nice charge from Giannis, picking off Sinatra absolutely the way that you want to play against the San Francisco Shock.
I saw him charge by the door, and I'm like, why is he going that way? But it turns out that's where Sinatra decided to be. I don't know, a little bit out of position there on the other side of that wall. That was a brave move to try to flank them, but he paid for it.
You look at the way the Vancouver Titans beat San Francisco, and it was oftentimes reacting quickly to Sinatra being in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, I mean, he will go for those kind of hero plays once in a while, but it's risky too, right? Corey fully charged up, burning through that Reinhardt shield so fast. Now he's got the grab, solo grab on Sinatra up top. They know if they kill him, that's 90% of the fight right there. Yeah, no kidding. That's one of those times where the solo grab is absolutely worth.
And that's what happens sometimes with the Shock. Sinatra will be alone on the high ground. You can isolate him. Farewell, says Fazix to Choi Hyobin. You can isolate him. It's totally worth getting that solo grab because you completely neutralize San Francisco Shock's ability to continue fighting that team fight.
Yeah, we've known it for a while, but we can prove with numbers now that if your Zarya goes down first, you have a very, very small chance of winning that fight. Teams know this. They're always going to try to target either the Zarya or the Reinhardt early on. Justice with a lot of ultimates, but San Francisco very close to 6 themselves. They're going to start things off the rally on both sides. Earthshatter comes in, knocks a few people from Justice down. Sansom especially taking a bit of a breather there as he recovers from the Reinhardt ultimate. Now Sinatra drops that Graviton Surge. A lot of members of Justice caught into that. Sound barrier helps him. Ooh, I was going to say helps him avoid the self-destruct, but Giannis not so lucky. Now the grab comes in from Washington, trying to equalize. But the shield turned just in time. That was about as close as you can cut it.
That was a nice tortoise formation there from Super to block most of that damage.
Call that the phalanx, man. Shields up indeed. Wrong team, but hey, the philosophy works out. But Washington able to weather the storm, coming back, winning the fight. They've got a chance to tie up this map here. 98-99, we're into OT. As Shoyabin, the mini diva, still on the point right now. There he goes. Can anyone get back there?
Yeah, they can.
Looks like Moth can. All right, they got to be aggressive here. Oh, and what? What? Are you kidding me, Moth? Just sat on the point and flipped it. You cannot let that happen, Washington.
Oh, boy.
They got to win this fight now. They need to win it. Corey gets 2 kills. Can they flip it back? All right, that was a heart attack moment for Washington Justice. Oh boy, all right. If they can clean out the respawns, Super coming in on the Hammond, you know it's desperate then, unless you're watching the Chengdu Hunters. When that Hammond shows up, you know they're on their last legs for sure. Shock on the outside looking in. Choyabin finally does get demeched. Washington really having to fight hard to finally claim this point. Moth kind of buying a lot of time for Shock here. Washington hasn't quite been able to do it yet, but there we go. Now the kill's coming in again for Justice. Seems like a foregone conclusion. You never really know, but
you kind of do.
This is going a long time. I mean, you feel like you do, right? There we go. Okay. Finally, man, that was a crazy long fight at the end of that one, but
very extended.
I mean, if you are Washington, you know you kind of got away with one there. You should have never given the point over to Moth in the end.
You always had an advantage, so pushing out wasn't the end of the world. Yeah, the back cap is a little bit embarrassing, but they were still able to clean it up.
You see Corey right there. He's like, yeah, you know you can't let them do that.
Well, you know, for the Justice, the Control has been their best map type, for sure. So they're holding their own here against the San Francisco Shock, tying it up 1-1, and we will go all the way, going the distance onto Village, where both teams will be playing Reinhardt 3-3.
True enough. Final round on Nepal. Going to go to Village here, and it's going to be the Reinhardt 3-3 yet again. As we get started, Washington going to take the high road. Both teams starting things off on the high ground. And
nearly dies to a stun.
That was a pretty aggressive move by him, but enough damage done to San Francisco that they're able to push him back. They do finish Super off. There goes Violet. So Justice winning the first fight there.
Yeah, Fozik's escaping actually gave them enough time because they had to really heal up the San Francisco Shock supports who were going for that elimination. And that opened up an opportunity for them to actually just break down Super because Rascal was leaving the fight, right? And he has most of that healing.
There was
with the Inspire aura.
A lot of damage on everybody on the Shock side. Oh, there goes Moth. All right. Swatted. Justice was served. Good start for Washington.
I don't know if San Francisco needs to continue trying to go through this doorway. Yeah, they're not. They're going to call it audible and go through the main choke instead.
Why not rotate around? Oh, nice stun. Janus knocked out of his ult animation. That's an Earth Shadow that's never going to land. Shock moving back in now. But Corey's so close. He's got the grab now. They have to keep Janus alive. You can tell Choyabin decided to try to go for that kill. But the heals came in on the Reinhardt just in time here. Grab now for Shock. Another grab in response for Washington. It's a mosh pit. There goes Guido, though. Shock with the early edge. Janus and Adu fall as well. And so Shock able to come out on top of the brawl in the end, and they will flip the point.
Yeah, big team kill too for the San Francisco Shock. They come out of it with the self-destruct and the Earth Shatter. Justice, though, maintaining a couple of support ults, so they should be feeling pretty good about this next push. Be doing just fine here if they can rally in and they can counter any potential crowd control by using their sound barrier.
Super just tried to run past him. I thought he might go for the aggressive Earth Shatter there, but no, gets stunned. Shield Bash comes in. He has to retreat to the point. There's the ultimate, trying to pair that with the Shatter. And whoa, there we go. Sansum gets two, and Justice just insta-gibbing San Francisco Shock. That's going to be a point retake.
I mean, I like the way they're playing. They're basically putting a ton of pressure onto Super. You can see the Discord orb onto the Reinhardt, and because they have to keep walking backwards, San Francisco Shock never really gets a chance to heal Super up because Rascal's not in there able to deal with the Inspire. That was a good call from the Justice. To go in right on the rally, they save Fozik's sound barrier.
And now they've put themselves maybe one team fight win away from taking this map. Very close. If they can defend against Shock here, they're probably going to get it. Backing off now. Got to get back in there. There we go. Rallies. Now sound barrier for Justice. Sinatra throws out the Graviton Surge. It's going to be Justice trying to weather the storm with that sound barrier. There's a double kill for Choyabin. He's going to demex Sansum as well. And it looks like Shock is going to flip it right back again. It's been such a back and forth map.
Another team kill thanks to Super dropping the hammer when the self-destruct comes in at the end of the Graviton Surge. Pretty high investment, but San Francisco Shock was never threatened enough to use the Transcendence or the Sound Barrier, so they have plenty of tools to deal with the Justice's Graviton Surge here and potential Earth Shatter as well.
Justices.
Justices.
I mean, Justicey is the plural. I don't know. Corey, for the grab. Ready to go. Again, trying to pressure Super just a little bit.
Oh.
Nice shield bash. Oh, that set up the kill into Giannis. Got a little bit too far forward there. And
during the Shatter animation, too. So.
that's about as rough as it gets. I mean, he kind of telegraphed that Earth Shatter pretty hard. And Justice going to get maybe one more chance here, as now we're getting close to a San Francisco Shock win on Nepal.
I mean, the Shock have 3 support ultimates to move through. Otto also used his rally.
Yeah.
This is going to be incredibly difficult for the Justice to win.
Well, it's rough to see. They brought themselves really close to taking this map, but it's going to need to be a come from behind victory now. Corey still has that grab. If he can set up a really good one, maybe they can do it. They're going to have the Transcendence too, so that is something going in.
I mean, San Francisco just needs to rally onto this.
That's exactly what they're doing, Monty, and they do have Super pretty low, though. Oh, that grab got eaten. Corey loses it. Now they've got the self-destruct from Sound. No kills out of that one. Great shatter from Super right after the grab ends. Corey with a kill and a Choyub in, though. So Justice trying to brawl this one out. Moth having to back away, but it is going to be San Francisco Shock in the end, taking Nepal. It was a close one. They got it.
I mean, that ult economy was so bad from the Justice at the end, not due to their own doing, but just because they fell really far behind on the Shock. Very difficult to recap.
All right, well, Shock takes game 1. We'll see if Washington can tie it up right after this.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.